All right, what's good? We're back on the process with my guy Nick Maddox today, online fitness coach, entrepreneur. He has his own CMOS company called Holistic Health Products. Ready to just pick his mind and just see what kind of sparked his growth into this self-improvement atmosphere and wanted to just positively impact others.
Happy to
Yeah.
happy to be here, man.
I'm your host, Paul McCarran. The whole thing with the process, it's the process of me gaining knowledge and gaining wisdom. My guests are going to provide the knowledge and the wisdom, and I'm doing work at the same time to gain knowledge and wisdom. Process of 2 to 3 years down the line, now I'm providing knowledge and wisdom along with the guest. Welcome to the Process Podcast. Yeah, glad to have you on and can't wait. We were just diving a little bit, but Nick grew up in Michigan, moved to Georgia, and then he went to school to start playing some football for a year, but kind of realized he wanted to just take this journey into entrepreneurship full time and started getting real world experience. So what can you kind of relate to that? I mean, that's a different path than most people already just going right there.
I would say for me, especially even towards the end of my senior year of high school, we had a whole senior project, which was pretty much to figure out what you wanted to do or what your aspirations were. So during that time, I had already started to understand, like, yeah, I want to work with athletes. I want to eventually be in my own facility. I already started having those little aspirations then. And then it's like, once I really went into college and my major was business management at the time, I'm starting to understand like, yeah, I can go to college for 4 years and understand business. But at the same time, I'm still going to have to do the same thing. I'm going to have to get knowledge in my field, still learn how to work with people, still build that sales knowledge. So I realized one of the smartest things for me to do is get that real world hands-on experience, really try to dive into my field. So one of my first, a- one of my first aspects of kind of doing that was working at LA Fitness, working into box gyms. And I started off as a manager. I started off actually running a fitness club and having personal trainers actually come to me for help and being more so a leader. So I say that was probably one of the best experiences for me because I got to see first and foremost, yeah, like I like being in the gym. I like I like working in this environment. I like helping people. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be a person that could be a younger kid that's 2 years old or a higher clientele. I've trained people as high as 88. So it could be someone that's fair in age. So I like having fun with everyone and really trying to help people get better and my biggest thing is just trying to be a leader for my people and be a leader for my future family. I know if I had a dad that kind of worked out and he really built this fitness kind of and health um mindset into me at an early age, and me seeing him be an example and him being like a monster, it pushed me to want to do the same thing. So I know above all, I want that same thing for my family too. Like I want my kids, I want it to be an easy thing for them to exercise. I want them to have that, like they're waking up in the morning and it's just natural for them to go exercise. I don't want them to be thinking about just hopping on the game first or not saying they're not going to do those things, but I want them
Lead
to
by
have a,
example, have the
yeah,
priorities in line.
exactly. Like be that leader for them. And that's one of the things I started thinking about too. Would I really see my future as? And I know I see my future still having fitness and health within my life, still teaching that same things to my kids, to my family, and 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 seeing what they do with it. Because it's not saying like they have to be an athlete like I was. They have to play all the sports I did, but they can, by me at least, build sharing these things I learned with them, sharing that knowledge that I built from them throughout my life. It'll equip them with the best toolage for them to do whatever and them to be confident in whatever they're doing. Cause that's the main thing as a kid. You want to feel confident doing these things. And if you start them off early, by the time they are getting to a competitive sport, they do have that confidence build up. Now they're more so motivated to dive in. So
Yeah, you
I,
start shaping, you're shaping their identity from the time they're younger. I set an example that, like, you know, we're the people who, like, we like to get outside and be active. We like to keep our health in good regard, and that's an important thing. And so as they grow up, instead of seeing themselves as someone who, like, you know, it's always great to have balance, especially kids, you know, you need to balance that out. But if they start to shape their identity that they like to be active, they like to be fit, and they like to take care of themselves, then it kind of just comes by second nature. And something I really like that you said is that you go and you get to try out like LA Fitness, and you got to be a manager there and see if you like that. And I think that's such an important thing. A lot of people in this entrepreneurial journey are off the beginning. They want to just start their own thing or do their own thing right away. But sometimes it takes learning under others or a part of a corporation to start to build the foundation to eventually build that business or build that whatever thing you want to pursue. You have to learn from others a little bit, you know.
indeed.
And you also said, you know, you got to teach people young and old in physical fitness. And so that's a verse that really sticks out to me is 1 Timothy 4:12. Let no one despise your youth, but be an example to the believers in word and conduct and love and faith and spirit and purity. And it's the Apostle Paul telling Timothy pretty much that not only can you teach the young, but you can also share scriptures and be an example to the old and be a spiritual leader in that way. And so that's just like, I think it's something that really sticks with me, because I feel like we are in a generation where a lot of people always told us, like, not only respect your elders, but kind of what they say goes. I don't know if you can relate with that, but it was for the longest time. And I think we're finally having a shift just with like the newer generation of technology and social media, and that the young are, they do have a knowledge in a lot of different aspects the older don't. And I think now the older generation is starting to respect the younger a little bit and hear out what they have to say and the wisdom they might be able to provide. Yeah. And so I think
It's
that's
like a
cool.
mutual balance going on.
100%. And something I want to kind of dive into, because, you know, you're at school for a year and you're probably pursuing the path that everyone tells you that you should, and everyone's probably giving you some, like, you know, compliments or like, yeah, you're on the right path. But how do you make that decision? You know, you're 1 year in and you're like, nah, I just want to pursue, you know, work. I want to start getting in, like, accumulating skills in the real world. And how do you face what the world may say, or what they might, like, maybe like be questioning that choice of yours? How do you face that?
So it was a tough thing to do, but I really thought about again just my future and where I really saw myself, and again really just being free at the end of the day, just being free. And if I really look at a lot of the people that are in my pathway that did just take the traditional route, they still ended up, I mean, coming fresh out of high school, I mean, out of college, and still having to do the same thing, still having to build that business knowledge, still having to work under someone, still having to do the same things I'm already attacking now. So it just felt like a smarter thing for me, especially just for my future and where I want to get to dive into this earlier. And I learned about things. I learned more about business even while I'm being in college. Just every business ideally wants to have a 5-year plan. So I started learning like, hey, like if I can start my 5-year plan now, or if I can build a gist of my plan now, then that could help me like years later. That can help me by the time I'm 25, I could be doing pretty good, rather than I'm just getting out of college at 25 and now I don't know what to do. And me knowing how personal training is, or knowing how fitness coaching is, you have to know how to talk to people. You have to know sales as well. And that's not a thing that you just learn being in the classroom. You learn that being in the field, you learn that working with clientele. So, and I learned that is something I actually need to do. That's something I have to do in order to kind of make it to that next level. I have to start working with clients and getting that experience, hands-on experience. Regardless, there's no way around getting through that hands-on experience. So for me, it was a hard thing, but it was kind of easier for me to just dive towards, because I know where I want my family to be. And I know the main thing in my mind is just being able to take care of my family at the end of the day. And like it just felt by me creating this plan and me starting off now, I saw in the future that I would be able to take care of my family and I'll be able to do all the little things that I have planned, like just being able to have free time for, like, even to be able to go to little things like my kids' games or like father son or father daughter dances and little things. My whole plan right now is just to grind it out now, grind through that 5-year plan and re have my family and have my future kids just be able to reap the benefits after.
Yeah, no, I think that's super important. And I think it's cool how, I guess what I'm hearing you say is pretty much you saw that 3-year trade-off of those last 3 years that you could have been pursuing that college degree. You saw like, hey, if I go in all in and start getting this real world knowledge, you were like, I don't really care what others people have to say, but I'm going to make this trade-off. And for me, I see it as worth it. And I would 100% agree, because unless you're in a sales specific class in college, you're not learning that real world experience very rarely. And I would say for what you're doing, you really don't need a college degree at all. But a lot of the times, people look at that piece of paper, but when you have such conviction in what you're doing, like it seems like you have, in coaching and then this holistic health products, which we're going to get into, it seems like you got a perfect business plan, and it is worth the trade off those 3 years and getting started in the real world. So, man, that's cool to hear that side of things. But yeah, so holistic health products. So it's like explain exactly what it is, but it's a CMOS. You have a CMOS product. How do you even get into that sphere? What inspires you to want to create a product, including CMOS, which is very beneficial and provides you with a lot of nutrients and different things that your body needs? But what made you want to get into that company? What did that entrepreneurial journey look like to get started?
I say it looked kind of pretty crazy in the beginning. It looked pretty crazy, just the environment. Speaking of just the environment that the world was in, during the time that I started learning about CMOS, because it was during the pandemic time. COVID was on a strong rise. That was when it was really taking its toll, and when I was really seeing a lot of people, whether it was friends or even family, just start living in fear and start really not knowing what was going to happen or if they were going to get sick. And then that was where CMOS started coming into play. I started seeing others across the world take CMOS, or take this little thing, just take two tablespoons in the morning, 2 tablespoons at night, and they were saying it had one thing that stuck out to me. They said it had 92 out of 102 vital vitamins and minerals your body needs. So I'm like, okay. And then when it's infused with other like natural things like burdock root, for example, that's the first one I saw. It gives you 102 of the vital vitamins and minerals your body needs. So I'm like, okay. I started learning more about nutrition too. Like, the illnesses that we do receive are directly correlated into the foods we eat. So the food is medicine. So I started learning, okay, like it's really about the things that I put into my body, and that has direct correlation into my immunity, into like my overall health. So I took the first step was really getting myself right. I got it for myself and started seeing what it did for me. And throughout that pandemic time, like I didn't catch COVID. I didn't have to take the shots. I didn't do any of that. And for me, I started giving it to my brother. I started giving it to my mom. And then the same things was happening to them. Like they didn't have to take the shots. They didn't catch COVID. My people around me didn't get it either. So I started realizing, like, man, maybe this is something that's really powerful. Maybe this, and it is natural too. So, and it's something that's grown here that was basically given to you by God. So I'm like, I started really seeing it in the perspective that God has all these things, all these natural things around us that were used to heal us. So I started trying to be more so the example for my people first, because I knew I wanted to help my people. I wanted to help everyone, but I learned you can't help everyone, or you can't help the world until you help yourself first. So I started doing the work, and I started taking it every day, and I started throwing it in smoothies, um, using it when I'm going to the gym, and just seeing how it did for me. And yeah, like even the littlest thing as far as allergies, or I had bad asthma growing up too. Like I don't have any of that anymore. I don't my allergies are fine. Like the most I probably do now is sneeze. Like I'll sneeze every now and then, but like this whole winter phase like we just had, I would have gotten sick a couple years ago, like before I was even taking the sea moss. I would always have it at least like one, like I get sick once in the winter and probably once in the spring, just how like my normal life would go. But once I started taking the sea moss, it's really like I stopped getting sick in general. The most I would have is like a sneeze, or I remember I had food poisoning. One time I ate some bad food, but for the most part, like I stopped getting sick, and that's what really led me to say like, man, this is something I should keep doing. This is something I should really bring. I felt like it was more so I was called to kind of bring it to my people too. I was called to kind of do it. And to bring holistic health, shed more light onto holistic health, because for me, like I was just starting to be shown these things. And I had went to school and we learned about all these different aspects of nutrition, but I've never been shown holistic health, or never been shown that, that you can heal yourself. Like you can really heal yourself. And it's not saying that literally this one thing you're taking today is going to heal you. It's just by you giving your body good things each and every day, it's going a long way. It's building up for the big fight, which is really like having your immunity boosted, having your immunity strong. And if you have a strong immunity, your body is going to fight mostly all these things that come to play, mostly all these things that come to play. But if we're constantly feeding our body things that dampen our immune system, and we're living in the fear state, I learned fear, you can't heal through fear. Your body is completely, it goes into a shutdown mode. So by us also living in fear, I mean, you can't, even if you're taking something that's good, it's not doing much. So I learned even about the mindset that you have to have while you're taking these things too. You have to believe you're doing good for your body. So I started to not only just take the sea moss, but I'm believing this thing is actually helping me. Like I'm believing I'm doing good to the body. And that's what really started happening. And then just years and years, I'm starting to see myself just get better and progress. And then I started giving it to my friends, and that was where it kind of changed, because I started seeing them adapt to it pretty quickly. And then they started giving it, one of my best friends, he started giving it to his mom, and his mom, which was one of my first kind of big experiences. His mom was actually facing a cancer battle as well. So she would take the sea moss, and I would kind of educate her on these things, and educate her on just the little things on like diets and alkaline diet and fruits, add more fruits into her diet. Just
What is
little things.
alkaline diet? Just
So
curious.
alkaline is more so, it'll be a stricter diet, but it will be strictly like fruits, veggies, and herbs. Nothing really, no meats really. Like in an alkaline diet, you wouldn't really have much meat. It's more so a detox type of diet. Is fully cleansing the body and getting rid of like all mucus out of the body. But usually those, like for me, I first started mine on, I would try to ideally go for 2 weeks, or 1 week to start, just to detox your body, fully get rid of all the toxins. Because if you do have toxic things into your body, you can't heal. So from a holistic mindset, they look at things from the whole point of view, whether Western medicine kind of looks at things from, you have a pain in this area, they think it's right there. But yeah, the holistic mindset, yeah, we look at things from a whole point of view, like what your whole body is going through. So I learned all these things kind of play a role. And but yeah, really me giving it to my best friend and seeing how it worked with his mom was a very good experience too, because the little things, because she was taking chemo at the time, and just the littlest things like energy, that's where you'll see goes a long way, because she if you don't really have energy, and then you can't even do the littlest things like even getting up out of bed, or even just walking, those things were becoming a challenge. So by her starting to take the sea moss, or even learn more about the nutrition, that started to help her on that aspect. Like, she was able to still go on her walks. She was able to still be active during this time, and not really take the typical route, just more so just being more homebound. But she was more so active. She was more so healing throughout the time. So that was really, really a game changer for me, because that showed me like, yeah, this isn't just something that's just helping me or just helping my family. Like, this can
It's
really
not
help.
placebo, it's like
Yeah,
you saw it and you saw like, man, it says this, but do I actually feel a difference? Do I actually see a difference? Okay, now that I feel the difference, does it work on other people? And so you start to trial and error. And so like before you made it a product ever, I like it a lot. Like, you gave it probably what, a couple months, at least maybe a year or two, and you tried it with like yourself, your friends, your friends' parents, and you start to see these benefits. And essentially, like you said perfectly, it's what you put in your body, man, is taking care, and like it fuels you. And I couldn't agree more with the holistic health approach. I really don't know much about it, so it's really cool hearing kind of your perspective and more on it. But yeah, if one part of your body is not healthy, well, especially when it comes to like hitting your nutrients, your needed nutrients of the day, it's like it's going to be harder for you to function throughout the day. It's going to be harder for you to have like long lasting energy throughout the day to like, get a better workout in, a better lift. And so I think it's cool that you tested the product before, I guess, you essentially made the Holistic Health Products brand, correct?
yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, it was about, I'll say a year, just testing it with myself, and then giving it to my friends, and then really seeing how they like it first before I kind of go on that global scale. And then all my people, I guess I really would say I had a strong support system too, because all all my people and even my friends' parents, they all just kept motivating me to just keep doing it, and keep getting it out here. Like, they would kind of what would you call it? They would kind of reassure me that, like we talked about the placebo, that they're experiencing the same things that I'm experiencing, that this is something that we're sharing in common. So
They're supporting you. They're also feeling the effects of it. Because I would say on my side of things, right? Because we got all these different products, these different supplements these days. And especially like these greens products, I can drink them. I've tried them for months, 2 months at a time. And I'll drink them, and I'm not going to lie, like, I don't feel a different. Like, I know I'm probably a little bit healthier, but between day 1 and day 30 of drinking a greens drink every morning, do I feel much different? Not really, So it's like, it's cool that you tried out this product, and not only do you feel a difference, but also every single person you had given it to feels a difference as well. So, dude, that's cool. And I want to touch a little bit more on, like, you're fueling your body with the nutrients that you need. So 92 out of 102, and then you add a couple of different compounds, and it becomes all of them. But then, just like you said, but it's even more, just as important. I would almost say, are you probably one and one? They're both extremely important, but what you feed your mind, how you think, the thoughts that you allow to kind of grow, like, because you got to pick thoughts, right? If you let negative thoughts kind of take over the mind and grow, that's going to be like the life you live, versus if you let the positive, because everyone's going to get negative and positive thoughts, but it's the ones that we choose to select and then really grow those thoughts. The framing the identity is like, I'm a person who does hard things. I'm a person who, lights up the room. I'm a person, and you start to form these positive thoughts. And that is just as, transformative as putting in the correct things into your body,
Yes, sir.
And so I've been doing a little bit of research. So I'm a person who, I eat like my protein goals, and I'll eat healthy or this or that, but I do love some junk food, man. I'm not going to lie, right? So I love some chocolate, and I think there's a balance and there's a time, but I was finding myself, I want to ask you about fasting, but first, I was finding myself overindulging a little bit into these junk foods and noticing how it would change kind of my thought patterns, my energy levels, and, you know, how I felt. And so I don't know how much like research you've done on, I guess you've done the research on sea moss and specifically like eat like the healthier supplement side of things, but what do you have to say about nutrition aspect and when you start to intake more sugar or kind of those unhealthier processed foods? What have you seen on that, like research or maybe even personal experience on energy levels?
So if I speak on the personal experience, because we all have our times where we're gonna like over or indulge in something or have something sugary. But
Yeah.
from my mind, once I go off the rails and if I overindulge more than 2 times and I go to the three and third, I say for me, third time's the charm. Third time's the charm. So if I have like even it could be like a Reese cup, because sometimes like I could have peanut butter, and even though you're not supposed to have peanut butter, but I'll try to have more almond butter. But sometimes I can have one of them little Reese cups. They're always in these little jars where you're going and rep like little offices. They're always having those little Reese cups. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's tempting. But for me, I learned when I go above 2 times and I go to three, then that's where it's really tempting for me to just fully throw away my routine, fully throw away everything and kind of eat more. I'm feeling like, oh, I don't really have to be disciplined as much. I can just this won't really do much to me. So if I keep it at a rate where I'll I may slip up, because even it's written in the Bible, like we all fall short at the end of the day. So even though we're aiming to be perfect, we're aiming to be better, we're still going to fall short. So I know I'm going to fall short, but that me falling short 1 to 2 times is something that I can deal with. It's something that I know, okay, like it happens. So it's not really going to mess up from the plan. It's not going to mess me up from the big picture. But if I keep falling off this track, if I keep letting this happen, it's becoming like an everyday thing, then it's killing the picture. So, and I learned even with the energy wise, like me, if I go above that limit, if I go above that 2 times and I go to three and third time's the charm, then if I go to the gym or if I'm doing an exercise, it's like I'm feeling weak doing everything. It's like I'm not feeling powerful. And that's another thing I like about the fruits and about eating a lot of fruit, because fruit is electric, and we are humans. We're electric beings. And most people don't understand that it's electricity flowing through us, and everything around us is electricity and it is energy. But a fruit, it has energy. So when you're eating these fruits, or when you're eating these things that have life in it, you're giving yourself life. You're giving yourself energy. So I say that was the thing that kind of was the game changer for me. Personal wise, it's like I'm seeing that when I give my body good things, or when I give my body lean meats, for example, too, that I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energized, ready to go. My workouts are going crazy. Like I'm feeling fired up. But the times that I may like just slip up, or even I could have like I could just have some junk and not have nothing, especially since I'm fasting too, and I'm coming off a fast, and I just give my body junk. It's like immediately I feel bad. And it goes to my mind as to affect like, hey, maybe I don't want to go to the gym, or I start thinking, it just started affecting you in more and more places. I started feeling like, hey, maybe I can mess up in these other aspects too. That's where I learned when I'm disciplined with my nutrition, and I'm disciplined in how I'm eating, then my mind is on the same time. Like my mind is on the same time. It's trying to really navigate me into the best way, into the best direction. But when I do give myself bad stuff, or when I do give my body these super sugary things, I'm learning it kind of puts my mind into more so like a frenzy, and I'm more tempted to do things that I shouldn't be doing and break my discipline when I'm doing that. And that, from a personal approach, that's what I saw. And when I started to notice that, that helped me make it seemed like it was common sense for me to just more so do more of the good things and do less of the bad. So I worked myself up to this rule about 90% of the time I'm gonna try to do good. About 90% of the time I'm gonna try to put something good into my body. But that 10% of the time, that's room for, I may slip up. I may have one Reese cup, or I may have some, like how you mentioned, chocolate. I may have some chocolate. I may have like a cupcake here and there, but
Yeah, not even slip up, but just enjoy like a little bit of a balance, and be able to just have that one cupcake. And sometimes I think Chris Bumstead was talking about it. That cupcake or that cookie is, wanting to have that, and having that might be less stressful than trying to stress out about having 100% perfect diet all the time. It might be better for your mental health, and just having that break. But I think there is that boundary of what you said where, at what point does that bad diet snowball into other aspects of your life? Because at the end of the day, eating sugar is going to get you a quick short-term gratification hit of dopamine. And so then you're going to start craving, well, one, your blood sugar goes up, your insulin kind of spikes, and you're going to start wanting to get short-term gratification on other things. So that might, versus being locked in and getting some deeper work done, or getting some reading done, or something that takes, a little bit more long-term gratification, getting the dopamine kind of throughout that process, or those couple hours of doing the work or reading a book, you're not looking for those quick clicks of dopamine. So you're more apt to be scrolling on a social media. You're more apt to get temptation of lust or something like that. And so that's something I've started to even really just be analyzing myself as these last couple times I've indulged of some junk food. Like, hey, how am I feeling? How am I able to get into a productive state of mind? Am I able to get my tasks that I was in? And yesterday I was just like, man, no, it really threw me off. I think I just tossed some of the junk food. I was like, man, it's not good for my ability to get productive work done, And so that's cool, dude.
It's like, and I noticed it's almost like it can put you into a depression, almost like sometimes. It's like it can just, you can feel bad just off eating bad food, I've learned. And sometimes it is me, the main thing that can happen to me, that can be like a bad thing, I can get stuck into my head. And
yeah, beat yourself up about it.
Yeah, and I can beat myself up about things. But when I'm eating right, and when my stomach is clean, because I believe your stomach is still your second brain. They're connected. I believe they're connected. So what you're putting into your stomach is still affecting your brain. But anytime I've just fully been eating bad and fully been doing bad, my mind is always on something bad, or I'm always really ravished in my thoughts, and I'm really troubled about things, or troubled about life. I'm not motivated to keep going as my usual self, I will say. Like when I'm eating good, I'm ready to go. I'm always feeling like I can go, like there's a term, balls to the wall. Like I feel like I can always go balls to the wall. And even there's this term about sleep, for example, like you need need at least 8 hours of sleep or 7 hours of sleep. But I've learned even through me eating right, or even through diet, sometimes like there's many times where I've had like 4 hours of sleep, or 4 hours of sleep, for example, and I've still woken up with feeling like ravished and feeling like ready to go, feeling completely energized. So I've learned even that aspect of things. Like sometimes you just off eating good, you can get by with like a little bit of sleep, or I wouldn't say less than 4 hours, but for me, yeah, there's been many times where I've having consistent days of 4 hours of sleep. because I've been working late or just been trying to work on new ideas, and I'll still wake up and I'm still ready to go. I'll still go hit a PR for my workouts. I'll still feel good. No injuries, for example. So even for that aspect, I've learned sleep is kind of a weird one with that. And some days I can want to give myself more sleep, and I'll still take like 5 hours of sleep. Or on the weekends where they're like, I'll stay up late. I'm working on new ideas, and I'll still wake up very early. Get 5 hours of sleep, for example. So I learned when you kind of eat better, your sleep schedule starts to change too. I don't sleep as long, and it is days where I could work harder, and I may like sleep for a longer term, like on Saturdays, for example. But on a consistent day-to-day basis, my body doesn't even allow me to sleep for so long. And it's like I wake up everything is set now. It's at a set time. And when I do wake up in the morning, my mind, it doesn't feel like a fogginess. No, I don't feel like that foggy brain. Like I feel like I'm ready to go. So
yeah,
that's the biggest thing. Just the mood changes when you're doing things right. And a lot of those terms that they say that aren't always true, and even results, for example, like because this past year, I'll say my average sleep was probably about 5 hours a night, 5 hours to 4 hours a night, but I still had the mindset where this isn't stopping me from getting results. This isn't about to stop me from achieving my goal. So regardless of that time, like I've still gotten consistent results. I've still been pretty good. And I believe it's more so for the diet aspect, more so regardless of anything. Like I'm going to go hard on my diet, and that helps my body feel the best. And even like during certain moments where a person could be tired, I feel like I'm not as tired at times, like especially those later nights where I am just making it back home and I'm dying down. Those are the times like I'm still seeing my mind like have ideas. So I feel like the more you eat better, you start to realize what works for you, because this how I kind of go to sleep or how my pattern is, it may be different for other people. Some guys may need that full night of sleep, but for me, I learned ideally, I run off at least like 5 hours, like at least 5 hours of sleep. I don't even in the Bible, for example, I do believe like a lot of sleep like leads to poverty. So I try to get just as much sleep as I feel I need for my body. And at least with the 5, some days I do go a little bit long, especially the weekends. Weekends on Saturdays, I'm getting probably that full 7 to 8. But the average weekday, Sunday through Thursday, I'm sticking with about that 5 hours, 5 to 6 hours, and I feel pretty good for the most part. And I'll even have days where I'm doing 2-a-day trainings. Like I was just boxing, for example, doing 5-hour practices, and I'm still feeling good. I always do these monthly health scans too, just to see how my body is doing. Nutritionally, like I'm doing very well. Like I would always do the scans just to make sure my body is loaded with water, how my organs is doing, the fat around my organs. So for the most part, like the routine I have set for myself works for me. So that's what I'm big on with, and I don't do the thing where I track my calories and like I eat 3,000 today. So I more so built this mindset where I understand my body. I understand what works for me. And I understand if I'm trying to get bigger, I need to eat more. For example, I need to add more meals. I need to add maybe 1 or 2 meals. Or if I'm trying to lose or maintain, then I know I just need to stick with this. So I'm big on teaching my clients how to understand their body, really even though I may have some of them start off with counting their calories just to see what their food is actually doing to them. Because some of my guys, like they are starting off eating the fast foods, which are loaded with like, you may have 1 meal and it's 1,000 calories into that. So I do teach calorie counting to show what you're putting into your body, to show that that these foods are loaded with calories, and so you can see it that way. But I do still at the same time try to teach my people to really pay attention to your body, because your body is going to respond to the things you do, especially like even the bad things too, but both the good and the bad. And you have to pay attention to those things. Pay attention to the foods that you eat that do make your brain feel foggy, or do make you feel weird, or pay attention to those foods that make you feel loaded and ready to go, or they lead to you doing more positive things. And that was really just the biggest thing with this stuff with me. Just seeing what it does on a more so overall level, not just on a single scale, just overall. That's what I'm big on. And I think that's the whole part of holistic health in general. It's the overall, it's the bigger picture of things, and it's looking at the whole picture. It's not just looking at, oh, I have pain here, or I'm stressed out today. But why are you stressed out? Sometimes you can just be stressed just because of tightness in the body. So being aware, that's what I'm getting to start teaching my clients is, and yeah, that's the main thing people don't have nowadays. It's just the awareness of their own body. Like, and for me, just certain foods I know I eat that just, they make me feel bad. Like shrimp. Shrimp has always been a thing since I was a kid. I put it into my body. It just makes me feel bad. My stomach, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't sit right on my stomach. It's never been that way. So
yeah, just figuring out what works for you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so I think what it kind of boils down to, and the point you're making is like, man, the more ducks, like if you can get your ducks all in a row, right, and one kind of gets out of a row, like maybe it's that sleep for a night, or maybe it's, you slip up on your nutrition for a day. But if you have all your ducks in a row and one of them kind of gets out of a line, it's going to be a lot smaller of a difference, or you probably won't even notice it because you have all of your different aspects dialed in. And so I think that's what kind of holistic health, the goal is like, hey, how can I piece all these different parts of my health together so that if I do have a bad day of sleep, or if I do mess up on my nutrition, every other thing is still intact and I'm still going to feel good, and you just don't miss the next day, And
Yep.
that's a very cool aspect to see. And it's cool to kind of see how sea moss is tied into that for you, and how that supplement kind of brings all the different things together, and how it just fuels your workouts. And yeah, man. So I would say, like, moving into like a question I like to ask in the process a lot. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received, and how has that like played in your life?
The best piece of advice I received, it's probably from one of my coaches. Even my dad, like both my dad and my coaches always say this, but the little things matter. And that was one thing that kind of stood out to me, even just being an athlete, playing football, and the same thing with this business stuff. It's just all those little aspects matter, and they lead to you becoming great. So, and even just the littlest things, like how I did mention sleep, but you not having a sleep pattern in general could lead to you failing. So how I found something that works for me, I like to be very productive. I like to do a lot of things, and I do like sometimes those late nights where everything is calm and no one's really up. I do like having that time to really be up in my thoughts and really dive into some more ideas. So
yeah, no, that's cool, man.
I
I think that hits the nail on the head, man. The little things add up. I'm reading a book right now called Divine Direction by Craig Groeschel. So he's the founder of Life Church, the biggest church in America. And pretty much he like, it's like Atomic Habits. It's kind of the principle that the small things do add up. And so one of the examples he uses is how, like, a small thing like running a stop sign, or even our pastor used an example of, filling up the water cup with a Sprite. Like, small things like that, they don't seem like they're a big deal, until they start adding up and and next thing you know, you're actually stealing, like that person stealing something pretty valuable or gets caught, or and the small decisions really do add up. Or same thing with good habits, you know, you start by waking up like 30 minutes earlier to spend time with the Lord, and then you start experiencing a greater peace and hearing the Spirit throughout the day of your life, and the Spirit's working more, and next thing you know, it's a year later, and just by chance you happen to wake up every day. And so I think there's that balance, and that's where this improvement, this self-improvement journey that we're on, along with the entrepreneurial journey and just spreading positivity, kind of the goal of the process, as you just start to grow and learn, and we're never going to be perfect, right? But you also continue to just add one thing at a time, those small little things, because if you start looking at the big picture, like this is where I want to be in 5 years, right? If you looked at your 5-year business plan and said, that's where I want to be, and that's all you looked at, it'd be a lot more intimidating than if you said, all I have to do today is figure out how to, you know, sell my product one time. And then the next day it's like, how do I do it again? Right? And then how do I do it again? And so you can break it down into what's the next step, and let God handle the plans. Like he'll kind of, you make your plans, you focus on the next step, and God will kind of show you the steps as they happen, the ones that you can actually control. Because a lot of the times if we focus on what we can't control, we're going to get way too overwhelmed.
Yeah. It's like what they always say, or that the terminology, when you're walking with faith, it's like you're on a imaginary tightrope, but if you ever do fall, God is always there to catch you.
Yeah.
But you just got to trust your steps. It's weird. It's weird when you're trusting your steps, and how each time you're walking, it's just you take another step and you didn't fall. You take another step and you didn't fall. But if you do take a step and fall, sometimes you think it's bad. You think you think it's the end of the world, but it was meant to happen in your walk. It was meant for you to, every time a failure happens, you were meant to learn something through it. And it's all in God's will at the end of the day. It's all in God's will. And you having that small slip up, it's not saying that something good isn't coming right after that. So I learned really throughout this time, and really faith, for example, is doing the work, it's trusting through the work.
Yeah,
match that with the
that's
faith.
How like I'm gonna put the inputs in so that the Lord can work in my life. You know, I'll put the inputs while He puts the inputs. You know, it's like faith without works is dead, and so faith without works with dead. Kind of, I see it in two ways. It's in James 2:20-24. But basically, faith without works is dead, and it's like, one, if you have faith but you don't act in according to the faith, or how the Word of God calls you to act, or what the Word says how you should love others and different things, it's dead. But also faith without, you know, putting the inputs in or doing the work, you know, if you're not working, if something you really want is to be in a long-term relationship, or whoever wants, but all you do is, you know, you go to work, you come home, and you don't put yourself in the position to meet that person, or you don't put yourself at church, it's like you're like praying like, Lord, bring this person into my life. Like I want to spend the rest of my life with someone and have a spouse, but you're just going home and you're in this cycle of not putting yourself out there. It's like, how can you expect God to place the right person in your life if you don't see anyone on a daily basis, you know? So it's like, it's really analyzing and putting in the works so that the Lord can unravel the plans He has for you. And at the end of the day, in John 10, that the Lord is a good shepherd, and we must believe that His plans are good. And a lot of times those plans look a lot different than what we want them to or think they should look like. And so, like you said, when you fall, it's not that you're falling, it's that, you know, God's just redirecting that plan for what He has in store for you. So, man,
indeed,
dude, that was an amazing, and I got so much insight into holistic health. I'm going to have to dive into it even more. But go ahead and kind of like share your socials, where people can find you out, and give a little. I saw that 2 of your 3 products are sold out currently, so that when those can be restocked and where people can kind of find you and holistic health products.
Okay, so you can find me on my Instagram. It's Maddox Powerhouse Fit. Most of my accounts are Maddox Powerhouse Fit, but my YouTube is just Maddox Powerhouse. My website, where you can find all my holistic products, is Rooted by Maddox. My watermelon juice is sold out right now, and my watermelon sea moss is sold out right now. It probably will be sold out for this season. I'll probably have it coming back soon during the summer, but I haven't been able to find any watermelons besides seedless watermelons. So I don't use any seedless fruits. I use all organic seeded fruits. So the watermelon has kind of been out right now. But besides that, I do have 3 other flavors in. I have a mango flavor. I have a passion fruit flavor that I just added to. They're not on my website yet, but they will be on here probably this week. But you will see me posting about them on my websites. I mean, yeah, on my websites and on my platforms as well. So you can still kind of reach out to me and just be on the lookout, because I do kind of drop stuff like every week. So yeah, you can get a close insight and kind of, you might be able to try something before it gets on the market.
Yeah. Well, that's Nick Maddox, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming on The Process. That's The Process. Peace.